Welcome back. Let's take you to one of our top stories now. TransUnion South Africa's troubles are not ending soon. The Information Regulator says the credit bureau faces a possible hefty fine and has urged TransUnion to provide greater transparency regarding the data breach. Hackers are demanding over 200 million rand after infiltrating TransUnion's data. eNCA's Govan Whittles is following that story for us. Govan, can you tell us the Information Regulator what they're saying about the security breach and if there are any consequences to TransUnion?
Well, the Information Regulator has reached out to the Credit Bureau and they're asking them for more information about how this hack happened, what kind of information is at risk, and what processes they put in place before this hack happened. We saw in information from TransUnion that a Brazilian hacker group had gained access to an isolated server which had 54 million South Africans' credit information on, and they believe that they may have gained access to the server using a authorized person's details to do so. And this has placed millions of South Africa's credit information at risk. TransUnion says that the penalty for not having proper safeguards to prevent this from happening could be as high as 10 million rand. And they've given TransUnion until Tuesday to explain exactly what happened. Let's have a listen to the Information Regulator now.
It's very important to stipulate that there are 8 conditions for the lawful processing of personal information that is entrusted to you, and all responsible parties, including Transnet, are supposed to comply with those 8 conditions, a failure of which could result in the regulator actually investigating such a security compromise, which can result in what we would call a fine of up to 10 million or imprisonment of up to 10 years or a combination of both in terms of sections 107 of the protection of personal information. What is also very important to note is that TransUnion has actually approached international negotiators to start to negotiate with the hackers, but also employed or approached international law enforcement agencies to assist them because of the fact that these threat actors are outside of the Republic of South Africa, but it's also not 100% certain if they are indeed from Brazil or if they are on the South American continent or on the European continent, but the investigations are continuing, so the Information Regulator was informed, but very importantly, the Information Regulator also had constructive engagements to the extent that we agreed on the way forward, as was outlined by the chairperson of the Information Regulator, Advocate Bensi Takula.
Now, Govan, you've spoken to a number of individuals and entities to try and get more background on the impact of this security breach. Tell us more about what the risk could be to South Africans.
Well, the risk is that there may be more online accounts or other financial accounts opened in the name of South Africans using the information if it is posted online or sold on the dark web. But that hasn't happened just yet. And while those negotiators are speaking to the hackers on behalf of TransUnion and the international law enforcement agencies are trying to prevent them from posting it online, South African NGOs are advising consumers to change their passwords and to add additional layers of authentication so that if there is an attempt to open accounts, that they would be informed of that. What we've also learned is that following the data breach of 24 million South Africans' information when the credit bureau Xperia was hacked in 2020, the South African Fraud Prevention Service recorded a 300% increase in attempts at online fraud using that information, specifically targeting South Africans. So that's the risk right now, and in order to avoid it and protect yourself, they're advising people to get additional layers of authentication and change their passwords to something stronger.
Govan, in addition to financial fraud, people's accounts possibly being accessed, there's also a risk of identity fraud, isn't there? Because a lot of the personal information of individuals is now out there available.
Yeah, identity fraud is a huge risk at this time, and that's why the South African Fraud and Prevention Service has now created a new product available on its website, which not only offers an additional layer of authentication, but allows consumers to be informed when there are attempts to use their information to commit such fraud. That's being rolled out urgently, especially in the wake of the TransUnion hack, but there is still some hope that the selling off of the information would be prevented through those negotiations and by international law enforcement agencies.
Well, thank you very much. That was our reporter Govan Whittles bringing us the latest on that TransUnion security breach.